we're at this age of really the collective conscious commercialism and conscious commerce in general, that we're no longer under the mask to think that living in silos and having work be over here and non-profits over here and government over here and education over here and our personal life, everything back then was disaggregated. Maybe at that point in the evolution of humanity it was okay, and what I would suggest is it no longer is the most highest effective way to grow a business. So a lot of people run businesses, right? Whether or not they're effective is totally different. And so when you're asking how do you get from the average business model into the one of the example business models in the country, which is what we did at Sprouts, it really was about the human beings. It was about developing the people at the very basic level of humanity, about making sure that we talked about their personal lives. We talked about the struggles that they had as women. We built into our model 25 years ago what we named connection time, which was that we paid all of our employees for an hour a month to sit with their supervisor and to talk about both of those things. How are things going for you professionally? What's the feedback that we're getting? What kind of feedback can you give me? And how's life? Right? How's life? How's your kids? How's your family? What do you need to do more of? How can we help you balance? Sometimes changing somebody's schedule by a half an hour changes their entire life. And most people, our society is still not built on a way that people feel comfortable going to their boss and talking about these things. And women, I have had thousands of women at this point in my career work with me, right? And I've sat and had conversations with them. The thing they struggle with the most is balance. Balancing, how do I take care of myself and take care of my family, my love relationship with my husband, get my nails done, get my hair done, look great, go to the gym, eat clean food. Like, who does all this, right? And so as we all are struggling, and get to yoga class and get dinner on the table. And so when they sit in the office, the big joke was my sister worked in the office next to me and she would say, so did you make that one cry, Susan? Because most people would leave those connections with me crying. And the reason they were crying was because it was relief most of the time, right? That someone was listening to them, that someone was hearing what they had to say. We had very high standards and we would help people and support them in accomplishing those standards. And that meant for the children. And very young on, Megan, I realized that, when you have I'm in the hospitality business as well now, right? Whether it is pizza or children or cars, the people that are making that happen are human beings, and we have to support them as human beings to make sure that they can do whatever model we think is highest and best. And people spend more time on the model and creating it than recognizing the support that the humans that are working in the model need. And it doesn't mean that that's the only thing you do, but you have to give it as much reverence as you do everything else in that business model. And when I realized that, and I did very early on, I can remember at 24 years of age thinking, this isn't going to be about curriculum, Susan. It's not going to be about the right curriculum for these kids. It's not going to be just about making sure that the environment is right. Although all the research in our field tells us that, and it's important. As important as developing those teachers, as important as developing the relationships with those parents. And most of it is about relationships, and it's a talent and it's a lot of work, right? Developing relationships is a lot of work, so it takes time and it takes real open-hearted, honest love. And I'm working on myself as a human being and self-actualizing at the same time, right? That I'm developing people, as we all are. And so it really takes a level of compassion and truth and belief and faith to say, I'm going to invest this in the business model. So to answer your question, how do you take something that was, daycare back in 1982 that I started it and turn it into a excellence in early childhood education? We took those children's test scores, their reading proficiency scores, we brought them from the 60th percentile in the country to the top 5%. When you want to talk about outcomes, okay, there's nothing better than that. In the most at-risk communities in Massachusetts, right? The most at-risk communities with the highest at-risk communities. And we did it. And when people ask me why, our researcher, Fran Hurley from Harvard, when she diagnosed why, it wasn't so much about the curriculum or about the environments that our industry and field would tell us. It was about the development that we put into our teachers and our people, all the way from our executive to our senior management team to the entry-level interns that were coming in for an hour a week. We made sure we developed our people. In our field, people get about a third of the professional development than what we gave to our people at Sprouts. They do about 20 hours a year. We did anywhere between 60 and 200 hours a year of professional development, and we paid them for it.